It's great to hear all the energy, and we do want to move from words into action. That is the idea of this event. It's designed as a trade fair. We've heard a lot of words about renewable energy this week. This solar trade fair is an opportunity to see the action that's already taking place, to see the innovation that's taking place across the continent. We have three luminaries who, in the spirit of that focus and action, are going to keep their remarks very short. We have Ngozi, who needs no introduction. She has multiple jobs in her portfolio. She's here today in her New Climate Economy guise. We have Andy Herkovich, who is well known to all of you, I'm sure, in his Power Africa guise. We have Nick Hurd, the British Minister for International Development, who is leading the British Energy Africa campaign. And after they have spoken, we are then going to hear elevator pitches from 6 of the innovators who are referred to earlier, and then there's an opportunity for all of you to mingle and see the action, the exciting innovation that is taking place already across the continent. So with no further ado, Ngozi, please can I ask you to come.
Well, thank you. Good morning, everyone, particularly to our exhibitors, whom we're looking forward to listening to in a few minutes. Just a few words to set the scene, to remind people that we're here because over 600 million people in Africa, or more than half of the continent's population, do not have access to electricity. And if we continue under business as usual scenarios, this number is expected to be virtually unchanged 2 decades from now. We all know that the absence of electricity in our countries limits opportunities for people to improve their productivity, earn higher incomes, and it denies them opportunities for things like even reading during hours of darkness, constraining their ability to take advantage of so many aspects of their lives. Only 35% of our primary schools have access to electricity. This number is not acceptable. Even in regions with access to electricity, power generation is often unable to meet demand, and I'm sure that almost every African in this room can relate to that. On average, there's a power outage in sub-Saharan Africa once every 4 days. This limits the ability of our continent to grow. And many people cannot even connect to the service where there is a supply of electricity. Connection charge is up to $400 in many places. So household solar is one of the most effective ways to bring power to those in Africa without access. And it's a major, major economic opportunity for us. Some models are 80% cheaper now than they were in 2008. And we know that the potential is enormous, almost 3 times the expected electricity demand in 2040, because it depends on something which we have in abundance in the continent. So today, we are very, very happy to welcome all the solutions that we are going to listen to. There are several examples. I want to just say one thing, that also beyond household solar, one of the most exciting things we need to think about is solutions for small and medium enterprises. We need to create jobs, particularly in our rural areas. And by having solutions that can power the tailor, the hairdresser, the welder, the carpenter. I know in my own village, the carpenter always used to say to me when I was in government, you people, you're unreliable. Just tell me that I'll have power 3 times a week, and I can program my work that way. But we never know whether we'll get it today, tomorrow, or when. So if we have these kinds of off-grid solutions that can power our SMEs, give them the ability to work, this is also the best thing for us going forward. I salute all those who are here. I salute the INCOPA, the Lumos solution for SMEs, and all the other solutions that we have. And I look forward to hearing from them. Thank you very much.
Thank you. When Power Africa first was launched, we set two different goals. We set some megawatt goals and we set some connections goals. And in the beginning, what we did is we just inferred that just because you add 1,000 megawatts, that means that maybe 500,000 to 2 million people are going to get access to electricity. And it wasn't until we hired Kate Steele, who many of you know, who had helped create the World Bank's Lighting Africa program and then worked at Google, and she joined the team. We had many heated debates about this, and she kept saying, Andy, you can't count inferred access. You have to count the actual connections. And part of me, from a political view, I said, how can we do that? We have to produce results. We need to take credit for what's being done through the megawatts, and we have to infer that people are going to get access. Kate was right, and that's why we changed our accounting methods and how we're doing this. But it wasn't really until I had the chance to visit the GOGLA, the Global Off-Grid Lighting Association conference last year, where all of these companies were there and see their products, that I realized we're going to achieve our connections goals more easily than we're going to achieve our megawatt goals. Because suddenly I was hit over the head with the massive amount of innovation that's taking place in this space. And the fact that our greatest frustrations that we're facing with Power Africa are often dealing with governments or individuals within governments, and that people often deal with in the community of dealing with the utility. And what the people in this room are doing is they're cutting out the government. And I talk about my government, any government, but it's just cutting out the bureaucracy. People are able to get access to power in a day. They don't have to wait a month, they don't have to wait a year, they don't have to wait a decade. And it's not about 2 light bulbs and a cell phone charger anymore. And this is the story that the people in this room need to tell. And that's when I was hit over the head with this realization. When I visited companies, and I saw just last week or 2 weeks ago, I was in Rwanda, and I visited a town where people were using Mobisol appliances, and I watched a barber who was clipping people's hair. I said, how many people's hair can you clip a day with this solar-powered clipper? And he said, 50. That's 50 people a day. He doesn't have to worry about load shedding or the power going out. He knows that with his solar-powered hair clipper, his business is going to be reliable. And as technology improves more and more, and as more and more appliances are developed, people are just not going to want to deal with the grid as battery technology becomes more and more efficient. So we often talk about the 600 million person problem. In Africa, people don't have access to electricity, but it's also a huge opportunity. And the companies that are in this room are demonstrating this opportunity because it's a massive business incubator. You're seeing a drive to develop super efficient appliances that let people live a life very comparable to living a life on the grid. And at some point, people who even have the option of being on the grid will say, I don't want it. I don't want to deal with the utility. It's going to force the governments and the utilities to get their act together. But at the same time, what they're doing is they're demonstrating that many of these people in rural areas who governments might otherwise write off as saying these aren't good customers, they're demonstrating that they have a payment stream. And it translates into a whole microeconomy of people who install the systems, who train them, who service them. But also, they have information about what kind of payments people make on a daily, a weekly, a monthly basis, which can feed into microfinance that we're seeing. And pushing data out to people and advertising. So monetizing that data creates a whole microeconomy. What's happening in this room, for me, is the most exciting thing happening in the energy space. And what we need you all to be are evangelists in this. Every time that we see, why am I so excited about it? Because I've seen it in action, I've seen it demonstrated. Why is the UK launch its Energy Africa campaign? Because UK officials traveled, they saw what some of the companies were doing, and they came back excited about it. For those of us who are not technical experts, when we see it in action, we're moved by this. And this is why in the United States we passed the Electrify Africa Act. It was after a group of congressmen traveled to Tanzania and they saw these off-grid companies in action. And within weeks, the Electrify Africa Act, which had been stalled for a long time, was passed unanimously. So there's a tremendous amount of hope in this room, and the companies that are here are providing us that hope. And we need all of you to spread the word on this. Thank you.
So on behalf of the British government, thank you for coming to our event. If there's one message that has come out of all the conversations about energy over the last few days, is about the need for a change of pace, for more urgency. Because as things stand, we're not going to meet Global Goal 7 in Africa for many years to come. Something has to change in terms of pace and ambition. British government believes this very strongly, and we're very committed to all the work that needs to be done in terms of on-grid, building out the grid, improving transmission. We've committed something to date like £1.7 billion worth of British taxpayers' money. Around 2/3 of that is on-grid. But our message to this conference, and the message that underpins our Energy Africa campaign, is if we're going to accelerate, move faster, then the off-grid piece has got to be a bigger part of this conversation. And that is what this event is about. Because what we've observed from our travels is that the off-grid solution, particularly the off-grid solar that is around this room, can move faster. It can reach the parts that the grid are not going to reach for decades, particularly people living in remote rural areas. This technology works. It's increasingly affordable because of game-changing initiatives like M-Pesa and mobile banking and the ability to pay as you go. The price of the technology continues to fall. There's a sort of perfect storm of factors here filling the sails of this technology with wind, if that's appropriate analogy, at the moment. And we think, let's grab that. There's a market out here. Entrepreneurs who want to build this market, take these products and services, make this market work for the poorest. We're very excited by that. So we asked ourselves, what can we do to help African leaders, African ministers accelerate this market in their country? Because we look at Kenya, we look at Tanzania, we see what's happening there. Almost 450,000 people connected in Kenya alone, growing M-Kopa itself, one company growing 2,000 connections a week. Something's happening here. We need to capture, accelerate, share, spread, get other countries working. So the Energy Africa campaign is about providing practical assistance. It's about providing technical assistance to governments and to ministers so they get the best possible advice on the levers that they can pull to create a better business environment. And it's about providing practical support for entrepreneurs, particularly around making it easier to access finance, because that remains their biggest challenge. That is the British offer that we are taking to the table. We want it to work in partnership. That's why we're in partnership with Power Africa. That's why we're in partnership with the African Development Bank and anyone else who wants to help at the local country level support African ministers to drive this incredibly exciting opportunity forward. Exciting for what this technology can do today, which is transformational. I remember visiting a lady in an Ethiopian village, which the grid is not going to arrive anytime soon, and she explained what that simple household solar system meant for her family. Bye-bye kerosene, the daughter on her hip no longer had to breathe in toxic fumes, saved money on kerosene. She pointed to the textbooks that her son could now read better after dark. She pointed to the mobile phone charging sockets that she'd put on the wall, which she was renting out to other villages, a little micro-enterprise born. And that's just what the technology can do today. What's really exciting, as Andy said, is what the technology is going to enable tomorrow, what this technology can do for SMEs, for schools, for hospitals. This is one of our biggest contributions to this debate, is how can we accelerate this off-grid solar market. And then my final point is this. Politicians have got a big role to play, but ultimately, this is about the entrepreneurs, the businesses, the social entrepreneurs, the doers. And this is the people we wanted to introduce you today. Elizabeth here, farmer and solar energy investor in Tanzania. Her picture is on my wall in my office in Whitehall. Opposite her is the lady in Ethiopia I met, so that every single day I'm sitting in that office, I'm asking myself, what am I doing to move Energy Africa forward? And it's that day-to-day question that we all need to ask ourselves if we're going to make the progress that we want to see. But today, what we wanted to structure this about was a chance for you to meet the doers. Thank you.
Thank you, panelists, for allowing us the maximum amount of time to hear from the doers. So let's move on now. I think there's a roaming microphone. Let's start over here. Try and keep it to 30 seconds, but you can have a minute if you're really nice.
Morning, everyone. I'm representing Azuri Technologies from the UK. We design and sell pay-as-you-go, rent-to-own solar home systems to consumers across rural sub-Saharan Africa. We are in more than a dozen countries across Africa. That gives us the biggest reach of any pay-as-you-go solar provider on the continent. I'm delighted to say that Zambia will be one of our newest markets.
Great. Well done. Thank you very much.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I represent Sunny Money, a social enterprise that is based in different countries across Africa, also here within Zambia. We currently sell Pico Solar, which is small solar, and we distribute that throughout Zambia using a schools network and also using an agent network. We've currently distributed about 185,000 units in about 6 years across Zambia.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. We are Vitalite. We're a sustainable energy household. We're a sustainable household energy company. We have two product streams. First of which is cooking around cooking products. We have gasifier stoves that are lit using sustainably harvested wood. We also have a lighting range, which includes solar home systems. Currently, we're the first and only pay-as-you-go solar system provider here in Zambia. Thank you.
My name is Erwin Spolders. I'm the CEO of Redavia. Redavia provides rental solar power to businesses and communities in Tanzania and Kenya for the moment. We provide a 40-foot container that we can install in 4 days at a community and provide power to about 1,000 households, and crucially also provide power for businesses, such as maize milling or welding, so we can create local value add and a local economy to sustain the people there. Thanks very much.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Aaron Leopold, and I represent Power for All, which is a DFID-funded partnership and campaign of the leading private sector players and also civil society actors active in the decentralized renewable energy space. And we are providing that evangelist role that was noted before. We are bringing the key arguments, the key economic, financial, and human realities to the decision makers of the world that clearly still have some learning to do, as we heard a variety of different views of what should be the future African energy mix from our ministers and presidents and prime ministers over the last few days. And we were working very, very hard to ensure that the world is aware of the realities of the off-grid space. And as I mentioned, we are a partnership and a campaign, and we provide all of our partners with these key facts and figures and arguments that you can use to go back to your decision makers at home to help win this battle with us. So if you're interested in becoming part of this campaign and partnership, please come to visit us. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Robert Hanna from VDare Global, based in UK, out of the UK, but we're based in Botswana, servicing Southern Africa, Zambia, Zimbabwe, and Botswana, and Namibia. We're very much in the grid-connected space, so we're putting power into the grid using solar technology, but also more recently, over the last 12 months, developing off-grid solutions, because we think that is a major way forward to increase the numbers of people who have access to energy. In terms of some of the work we're doing this year that's quite exciting is we're developing a first solar loan product with a major bank in Southern Africa, which we're launching in July. This will give access to funding for small home and small commercial systems, which are all off-grid, to bankable clients. So it's introducing new people to the banks. We're also a technology development company. We're working with an organization in Botswana to build the first solar technology plant. So we're building technology here in Botswana to service the SADC region. And also, I'm pleased to announce that we've recently secured work with UNESCO and SADC to develop the first renewable energy training hub based in Botswana. So it's a very exciting year for us, and we hope to share all that work with you later on today.
Good morning. My name is Thomas. I work with Mobisol, and what we do is basically large solar home systems to these 80-90% of households in rural areas who will probably never see the grid. It's basically giving light. Light is the beginning, but then when you ask a household, what do you want? A household will tell you, we want more than 3 lights. We want a TV, and this is not the largest TV we do, that's a medium size. I think Andy, and thank you for that, made the case that this is a business model. You can earn a living with this, and you can run 4 of these things on a solar home system of Mobisol. This is the newest addition to the products that we can run, an iron, and I think a year or 2 ago people would doubt the fact that an iron could be run on a solar home system. And this thing here recharges either 10 mobile phones or 10 laptops. And I want to talk to Ngozi's point, which is basically what's happening really with businesses. You want to weld, you want to process agricultural products, etc. Today, people think it's not feasible with a solar home system, and I will pledge that by the end of the year, we will show that basically a larger solar home system of 600 watt can do all these things that small businesses need to make an income. And the moment you make an income with a solar home system, you will repay that solar home system. So this whole idea of people don't have money, it's not true. Give people electricity in Africa and they will make money with it, and which is what Mobisol is doing. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. That is totally inspiring. You've broadened our horizons about what is possible. Now I would encourage everybody, please, to get up off your seats, demonstrate the same energy that we've heard around the room, go and meet, network, make deals, find solutions with the same sense of urgency and pace and energy that we've heard already. Thank you.